means a lot to me, so that's pretty cool.
All right, we will open up to questions for our poll winner. Please raise your hand. We'll get a wireless mic to you. Start with Bob.
Bob Parker, ESPN. Are you thinking about how cool it is to win the pole, or trying to figure out, how you can get the car better from what you felt in your Clash car earlier today?
Yeah, I'm definitely thinking about, the race and what we can do to try to improve there. Daytona was certainly a struggle for us last year, just as far as, getting in wrecks or wrecking and tearing up a lot of cars. So I hope we can just make it to the end of the race next week. That's obviously a huge battle at times, and I think the racetrack is war and the surface gets older. Tires are going to mean more, which I think is good for the folks that are sitting in those grandstands across from us, the folks watching on TV, which is good. So I think that's going to have a little bit of a strategy play to it, and obviously qualifying well is great. I don't necessarily know that the starting spot means quite as much as the pit road selection, and that first pit stall I think can be a pretty big benefiting factor if you use it to your advantage. And unfortunately last year I didn't make it to the first pit stop, so we didn't get to use it. So I hope we can use it this year and use it all day long would be a big help. So we're thinking about that for sure to answer your question, and I think we have some good things and notes that we learned today to try to help for next week, and I hope we can just capitalize on all that and try to put ourselves in a good spot.
Any additional questions for Chase? Up here to Godwin, and then we'll go to Brant.
Godwin Kelly, News Journal. Chase, is winning the pole kind of a double-edged sword, because you're the pole winner for a week rather than a day or two, and it's the Daytona 500. You've been through this before. You know what distractions to avoid now?
Oh, I think the biggest thing is, as everybody knows, it's not so much about where you start, more about where you finish. So Daytona 500 pole day, as it should be, is more about the teams and what they bring over the off season, from the chassis shop to the 24 shop in particular, the body shop, our Hendrick department, Chevrolet. I think that's what Daytona 500 qualifying has always been about. I think that's where the attention should be centered. I think from a driver standpoint and from the race standpoint next week, the biggest thing you can take away is that pit stall, I feel like, and once you get in the race, I think there are cars that race better, draft better than they might appear to qualify. Look at these two clowns right here in the door. Y'all can't see them, they're hiding. Hey, appreciate that.
It's gonna be a record.
Hey, I wish. But anyways, so like I said, I think that's the biggest thing you can take away from that, and just try to use those couple things to our advantage next week would be the biggest thing.
We'll go to Brant, and then Dan and Bob.
For as great as this accomplishment is for you and in your family history, is there any tinge of, if not guilt, some emotion that you denied the junior storyline that certainly would have made a great deal of people happy today?
Oh, well, I think obviously Dale is good down here, and we all knew he was going to be fast today. That's no surprise, but I don't really care who it is. I'm not going to feel bad about beating somebody. So it's cool to share a front row with a teammate. Really the biggest thing I look at with that. But Dale's a good guy. I'm happy to share a front row with him, but happier to beat him, obviously. But regardless who it is, that's what you're trying to do.
We'll go to Dan.
Dan Gelson of the Associated Press. Chase, what was the week for you like last year from Sunday to Sunday? Not just obviously what you did here, but off the track. Did you find you had too many commitments or just enough?
Yeah, last year was pretty straightforward. We had a great week or a couple of weeks of speed weeks leading into the 500, all the way up until the 500. Unfortunately, it didn't matter most. So we had a great run in the Xfinity race last year, which was a lot of fun, and got to go up and ride with the Thunderbirds last year between the qualifying day and the race, which was pretty neat. So I don't have that planned this year, but we'll hang out for a couple of days and take care of all the media obligations and things that NASCAR has scheduled for us, and we'll be ready to rock and roll come next week.
We'll go to Bob and then Dustin.
Bob Parker, CSPN. I have two more. What do you remember about race day last year, being your first Daytona 500, being on the pole?
Yeah, for sure. It was obviously, first stab at a full-time Cup effort, which was just a lot going on. It seemed like, and kind of going through the motions of that first Daytona 500. All the folks that are here, the folks from whether it's sponsor people or people that NASCAR has invited. There's just a lot of people here, and kind of working your way through all those obligations, and there's a lot that comes along with that. So I feel like for me it was just kind of the beginning of trying to battle through the obligations and make sure you have your sights set on the race, when it comes around. And the way our races are set up, we have so much stuff that lead basically all the way up until the time you get in the car. When you finally get in the car, you're finally like, okay, we're here and we can get going. So I think just being able to flip that switch when you get out in the grid and actually finally pile in the car, obviously that's a big point in time.
And does last year's 500 motivate you? I mean, are you going to go into this one saying, I'm going to show that I'm not going to wreck early?
I sure would like to not wreck. That's my goal every week is to not wreck. But I definitely made a mistake last year and got in a wreck in the July race too. So 2 for 2 on tearing up a lot of stuff in 2016 down here. So I hope that's not the case. But no, that's a given. I mean, I'm not going to try to wreck. To answer your question, absolutely not.
Well, does it motivate you, or is it just something to learn from?
I think that does a little bit of both. I mean, I learn things from it, and it certainly motivates me to want to not do that for sure. But hey, you gotta take it as it comes, and we'll see what happens this time.
All right, and we'll wrap up with Dustin.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. You talked earlier about the tires and kind of the wear and how this track is wearing a little bit. Even from last year to this week, can you kind of explain how that's creating, how different that is? What is that making you feel? What's the car doing differently out there on the track from last July, even from a year ago?
Well, the grip is just going away, and this, racetracks that sit down here in Florida that, bake in the sun all day long, that it stays warm all year. It just puts a lot of age on the track. You can also say the same about, places like a Michigan or some of those spots who have super hot summers but also get snow in the winter. So that can be tough on a surface too. But it seems like these Florida tracks really lose a lot of color in the racetrack really fast, and I think that's just because they have a lot of rain and bakes in the sun all day and it doesn't get super cold. So all that stuff added together, the racetrack just losing grip, and I think as the solution or the rocks, in the racetrack become more and more coarse, and we see that discoloration in the racetrack surface as all that stuff goes away. Tires are becoming more and more important as the run goes on. So I do think it's going to be important, especially if the temperatures are up like it looks like they're going to be throughout next week, to have tires on your car where you can make some moves and not bust your tail.
All right, Chase, well, congratulations and good luck next week in the Daytona 500.
All right, thank you.
Congrats.